Yes.
Let's call it that.
Okay. All right. Good. And this is where we do this. Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Steve. Good morning. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai da dai dai da dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai da 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 dai dai da dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai dai da dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai. Shabbat Shalom. Good morning.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Steve. You know, I'm wondering as you sing the Nigun or as we sing any of the songs, like how many people who are online are singing along. You know, I was sitting here hearing myself join in the Nigun a little bit, and you know, just struck by the familiarity of this absolute strangeness. You know, becoming accustomed to a mode of gathering that certainly a year ago would have been unimaginable. It's like when we come together, we get to be with each other's physical presence. When we get together, we get to hear each other in our singing. We get to respond to each other. If I say something that elicits a groan from people, there are people around to groan. If I say something that elicits a chuckle, there are people around to chuckle. And on this platform, that whole responsibility is yours, Steve. You know?
Yeah, I was just starting to feel the weight of it.
Yeah. It's your groan that's called for or your chuckle that's called for.
I'll try to be appropriate.
I deeply appreciate it. I deeply appreciate your help. And I just want to encourage people who are joining us online to appreciate how all this reminds us of a connection that is so far deeper than physical proximity. Because a spiritual connection actually is not dependent on that physical proximity. And in some ways, this context helps remind us of that reality. This context helps us honor the non-local nature of the consciousness we share and of the consciousness we are. It's like each of us is a local manifestation of a universal consciousness, of unlimited consciousness, of awareness with a capital A. And we don't own that. I mean, in a sense, that owns us. That is the essential nature of the who that we are. And because we are a localization of that which is beyond locality, when we allow ourselves to open to that more inclusive consciousness, that more inclusive identity, that more inclusive who that we are, we know the absolute interconnectedness of all being. We transcend this illusion of such radical separateness. And we remember something that is always true, that maintains its truth no matter how this outside changes, no matter how the world around us changes. There is that which we are, there is that which we share, that endures. And the spiritual process, the spiritual intention is to awaken more fully to the nature of that which in fact we always are. It is such a paradoxical process. Because our ego, our separate mind, always functions in terms of trying to get somewhere where we're not. If we experience ourselves not, we want to know, how do we get there? And there's no way to get here because actually we're always here. So it's a process of remembering. It's a process of remembering. And Shabbat offers us an opportunity to call ourselves to that deeper remembering. Because Shabbat is a representation, a focus on that universal awareness, on that universal consciousness, on an energy of such unconditional yesness, unconditional joy, unlimited peace. So I encourage all of us to take a gentle breath and just imagine letting go of all the constrictions and all the restrictions and all the tightness in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts. Not to get anywhere that we're not, but to step into where we always are. And to just taste the remembering. The remembering. And to taste it through an absolute appreciation of the undeniable beauty of the moment. The undeniable nowness of the moment when we just let ourselves be. When we let ourselves be now. And when we let ourselves just step into however we are, whether you're by yourself, whether you're with friends, step into sharing the sounds of Ma Yafeh Hayom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Remembering that Shalom is a word that means wholeness and completeness. Remembering that Shabbat, the Sabbath, is, well, in my tradition, we mark it. The Sabbath is from Friday night to Saturday night. But the consciousness to which Shabbat points is always. And to mark it on a special day of the week is to remind ourselves. To remind ourselves that Shabbat is always here. The normal way of imagining how the week goes is the week leads up to Shabbat, starting with Sunday. In the Hebrew tradition, Shabbat is the only day that actually has a name. Sunday is called Yom Rishon, the first day. Yom Sheni, Monday, is the second day. And it goes first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, just like in the myth of creation in the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis. And then we get to Shabbat. So it's seen as the week kind of leads up to Shabbat. But in the heart of the Jewish mystical tradition, the heart of the Jewish mystical tradition is called Kabbalah. And in the Kabbalah, the wave of the week is perceived differently. And that is from Wednesday to Shabbat, it's a wave moving toward Shabbat. And then from Shabbat down through Tuesday, it's a wave carrying the energy of Shabbat into the week. And the wave just continues, so that in a sense, the energy of Shabbat never ends, but the entire week is a weaving. The energy is a weaving from one Shabbat to the next. An ancient tradition says that if all Jews really celebrated the consciousness of Shabbat, if all of us celebrated the consciousness of Shabbat, even for one Shabbat, Messiah would come. Which is a fascinating image, because I don't think the Messiah is somebody out there. I think the Messiah lives within each and every one of us. Messiah is a state of consciousness. And in fact, that state of consciousness is called Shabbat. So by definition, if a significant percentage of the population held that consciousness for an entire Shabbat, shift would happen. Because the vibrations that we carry impact not only the nature of the world we experience, not only the nature of our reality, but the vibrations we carry influence and affect, sometimes infect, the experience of others, certainly of those near to us, and even those with whom we are more distantly connected in the unending field of consciousness. It makes a difference. It makes a tremendous difference, the vibration that we are carrying. And many of us actually know that, but we also spend precious little time, like percentage of our daily life, focusing on what vibration am I in fact carrying at this moment, and contributing, automatically contributing to the shared field of consciousness, to the shared pool of consciousness, to the shared ocean of consciousness. And that leads to the focus for this Shabbat. Where's the light? In a time of darkness, where's the light? Toward the end of our time together, I want to mention some of the programs that I'm offering now to support all those who are interested in making a greater commitment to altering the vibrations that we carry into our daily lives. So I just want to mention at the beginning, for those of you who get bored and click off before the end of our time together, I'd like to just encourage you to go to rabbited.com and, I welcome you to take a look at the programs, and invite you to, if they resonate for you, invite you to join us. If anybody forgets rabbited.com, just take the capital off the T and you get Rabbit Ed. There have been several times when that's how I appeared when mentioned in newspapers. And I've discovered when trying to convey this website over the phone to people who have no idea what a rabbi is, that it works much better for me to call it Rabbit Ed. Some of you probably know that when I tried to get that domain name at the beginning, it was owned by a pet food company. And there you go. And apparently the pet food company either changed its name or people started calling them Rabbi. I don't actually know, but the name became available. So you can get to links to the programs through rabbited.com. I want to talk about some of the aspects of the outer darkness that we are involved in at this time, and particularly at this time of the year. It's not that there aren't issues of darkness in our culture and in our world. Certainly the persistent economic disparity, the persistent racism, the persistent wounds of patriarchy, certainly the economic disparity, certainly the pandemic, certainly the political polarization. It's like there's all kinds of darkness around us, energies. Energies somehow inhibiting the light. And at this time of the year, we enter the darkest time of the year. This is the time when the nights are the longest. And the festival of Hanukkah, of course, is Hanukkah means dedication, rededication, and marks rededication of profaned, defiled, desecrated sanctuary, somewhere around the year 168 before the Common Era. But I really have learned, many of you know I've been co-teaching with Tova Zev, who brings, in many ways, a very profound awareness of our connection to the planet, our connection to the earth, our connection to the fuller consciousness that we are. And she notes that Hanukkah always has within it, its 8 days, the new moon. And there's a period in the new moon where there is no moon, where we don't even see a sliver. And the new moon in Hanukkah is the new moon of the period with the longest night. It's like solstice is the longest night, time-wise. But solstice, like this year, has a lot of moon. So solstice is not the darkest night, even though it's the longest night. Hanukkah has within it always the darkest, longest night, which is to say that it is highly likely that even before the celebration of the Maccabees' successful rebellion against a tremendously oppressive Seleucid Greek, Syrian Greek authority in the 2nd century before the Common Era, even before that, the energies that we celebrated Hanukkah were manifest and were honored. which enriches everything that proceeds and gets attached to the Hanukkah celebration. The celebration morphed into not only a celebration of a remarkable victory against oppression, but a celebration of light, reflecting its deeper origin. So that the story comes of when the sanctuary was rededicated, there was only enough sanctified oil for one night. And in the 8 days it took to acquire additional sanctified oil, that oil that should have lasted just one night lasted for 8 nights. A miracle of light. And the reality, of course, is that when we are encountering deep darkness in the outer world, light does appear as a miracle. And there is in the primitive mind, and we carry within us ourselves the primitive mind, the yearning for light at a time of outer darkness. There's a story that has many forms, and I'll just relate one form of it, where there was a community that was filled with people who actually were afraid of darkness. Whenever it grew dark, and this was a time before electricity, whenever the sky got dark, they would hunker into their homes and close up everything because they just were terrified of that darkness. During the day, the sun was out, they felt joy, they celebrated the sun, their songs were joyful. But as the sun set and darkness descended, their songs turned sad, their singing ended, and they closed themselves up within their homes. And the story says that into that community were born twins, a boy and a girl. And the girl actually was like a being of light. Like wherever she went, even as a child, somehow she inspired joy and brightness. And the boy, the opposite. Somehow, wherever he went, the energy that she had inspired, it kind of toned down. It kind of drained out. He would inspire a kind of tiredness, a kind of weariness. And I think people would have spurned him if it was not his association to his twin sister, and were it not for the love that she had for him and they had for each other. And as she grew up, her power to encourage the illumination of greater joy grew, so that people just loved to be around her. And if anything, she made the day brighter. She made the songs happier. She made the sun even more appreciated than it ever had been before. And in some ways, her twin brother did exactly the opposite. Like somehow people's fear of the darkness increased. They shuttered themselves into their homes and hid themselves from the outer darkness. And there came a time when they prevailed upon her. They said, with your powers, could you make the sun stand still? And she said, I can't do that. But they just kept asking. We need the light. The light brings joy, and the light brings happiness, and the light brings possibility. And finally, there came a time when she said, okay, I'll try. I'll see what'll happen. And she went outside and she stood on the highest hill in the community. She lifted her arms to the heavens and she asked the sun to stand still. And according to the story, the sun stood still. And people were overjoyed. I mean, it's hard for us to imagine, what it's like for a community who just experience total joy in the light and fear of the darkness to finally not have to worry that the sun is going to set, not have to worry that darkness is going to descend, not have to worry about ending their joyful songs and their open-hearted appreciation of the daylight. Oh, and days went on with such incredible joy. Except something started to happen. People started realizing that they were getting really tired because they were finding it very difficult to sleep in bright daylight. They loved the sun, but there was surprisingly experience of exhaustion. At first they couldn't really identify it, but then they started talking to each other. And, somebody would think I'm the only one who's experiencing that. But as they talk to each other, they discover that everybody's feeling we're not getting the rest we need. We're something's not working. And they finally decide to go to the young woman, the bringer of light, and prevail on her. Look, you gotta get the sun to move again. We love the sun, but we're tired. We can't do without rest. So she says, I don't know if I could do that. But she goes to the highest place in the community and she lifts her arms to the heaven, to the sun, and says, move, sun, move. And nothing happens. Nothing happens. She's not able to do anything. And her twin brother steps up and says, let me try. And of course, the townspeople are reluctant to have him do anything, but they need help. And he goes to the highest place in the community and he lifts his arms to the sun and he says, sun, move. And the sun moved. And the darkness descended. Only this time, something very different happened. And when the darkness descended, people found themselves still outside. They had not retreated into their homes right away. They had not shuttered themselves up. And one of them looked up and pointed to the sky and said, look. And for the first time, people saw the stars. And for the first time, people saw the moon. And for the first time, people appreciated the calm and the peacefulness of darkness. Now, of course, that's an impossible story. Well, it's a possible story. It's an impossible event. But in many ways, it speaks to what we do with our ego consciousness. Because so often we would like to have lives that only have light. We would like to avoid the darkness of conflict, the darkness of pain, the darkness of anguish, the darkness of fear. We would like to have relationships without conflict. We would like to have jobs without conflict. We would like to have financial lives without conflict. We would like to have political lives without conflict. I'm reminded that when an artist wants to portray light, the degree of light that an artist is able to portray depends on the degree of contrast to darkness that the artist provides for us to perceive the brightness of light. Without the outer darkness, we would actually not be able to appreciate on an ego level, with our ego mind that knows by contrast. We would not be able to know the light. If everything went absolutely smoothly in our lives, we'd actually never know it. Which may sound totally strange, but if you really think about, we know down because we know up. We know sour because we know sweet. We know easy because we know difficult. Often when we look at the nature of our lives and the things we feel best about, the things we feel proudest about, the things that help us awaken to a greater fullness of our being are not those things that are just simple. They're the things that arose out of conflict, or arose out of need, or arose out of challenge, or so I would not be among those to say that all outer darkness is good. But I would suggest that the darkness in our outer world, the darkness in our circumstances, calls us to a fuller awakening, reminds us of the critical nature of the vibrations that we are carrying, reminds us to wake up, reminds us to see more clearly how the vibrations we have been carrying are manifesting in our world. In so many ways, the darkness we are experiencing calls us to step into our responsibility, knowing that no, we're not going to live lives without any darkness. We're not going to live lives without any challenge. But just as we can move into the outer darkness of night and discover within it light that we could not perceive in the daytime, just as we can move into the darkness of night and find a kind of peace and a kind of quiet, it may well be that the darkness in our circumstances calls us to enter into a greater peace, a greater knowing, a clearer vibration of wholeness that lies within, behind, beyond darkness, that the darkness of our time calls us to enter into the light. One of the Hanukkah songs that rejoices in the bringing of light is called Light This Candle.
As Rabbi Ted, as you're talking about that, the whole contrast notion about light and darkness, this song it depicts that so well, because it's about bringing light to those areas of contrast, and maybe what could be perceived as a gift, as difficult as it might be. So. Gonna light this candle for the joy that's in our hearts. Gonna light this candle for tomorrow's brand new start. Gonna light this candle for those who know of darkest days, so they may trust the light is on its way. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle for those who feel alone. I'm gonna light this candle so they may find their way home. I'm gonna light this candle for those whose hearts are broken, so they may know God's heard the prayers they've spoken. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle for turning our world upside down. I'm gonna light this candle for finding stillness as the world turns round. Gonna light this candle for the children who are great believers, so they may know they are our greatest teachers. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle for me. Gonna light this candle, 'cause this is right where I'm supposed to be. Gonna light this candle so we may walk our own true path. 'Cause there ain't no use in looking back. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle. I'm gonna light this candle. I'm gonna light this candle. I'm gonna light this candle.
It's great. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. Tova brought that song to our attention a while back, right?
Yeah.
It just sings to my heart,
Yeah, in the Hanukkah, in their the Hanukkah custom that she leads at their house, that song is sung every night.
Great.
It's part of their ritual. And as I've joined with them, it's become part of my ritual. It's a great song. You know, traditionally when the Chanukiah, which is the official name of the Hanukkah menorah, when the Chanukiah is kindled, technically you're not supposed to use the light as you'd use any other candlelight. Like on Shabbat, we light Shabbat candles, and traditionally electricity is not used. So the only light is the candles, and you can use the candles to read with or to see with, you know. Hanukkah candles are kind of meant to be a focus of meditation, which is interesting, you know, because they technically will burn for a little over an hour. You know, so it's like, okay, it's time to appreciate light. It's like a visual meditation. It's time to appreciate the flame. Going from kindling one light all the way up to 8 on the 8th night. And last night, actually, we celebrated a 9th night. There was a piece in the LA Times that talked about doing a 9th night of Hanukkah. For those of you who are familiar with the Chanukiah, or those who are not, the candles on the Chanukiah are lit with a special candle, and it's just it's the same kind of candle, but it has often an elevated position in the Chanukiah, and that is lit first, and then that lights the other candles. And that candle is called a shamash, which means helper. And the tradition that the piece in the LA Times suggested was adding a 9th night of Hanukkah where the only candle that's lit is the shamash. And it's lit in honor of the helpers. It's lit in honor of all the helpers, and in particular, those who are meeting the incredible challenges at this time of pandemic of doing everything they can to take care of us. And it just felt like such a right honoring. And also acknowledging how much we'd all wish to be a shamash. You know, like how we'd like to be able to bring light into our world and bring light to others. How we rejoice often in those moments when we are able to experience helping another, supporting another, helping to bring greater joy into another life, helping to relieve pain or relieve suffering. I believe it's a way of framing an intention, you know, to walk into each moment as a shamash. How can I make things better here? Wherever the here is, as the essential question. How can I make things better within myself? How can I make things better in this situation? How can I make things better here? Because no matter how much we talk about an outer darkness of this seasonal darkness or the darkness of the events, we really need to focus on the inner darkness that grabs us with hopelessness, that inhibits our capacity to walk with greater joy and greater love in our world. And all of us know that gripping fear, despair, hopelessness, to varying degrees and at varying moments. But the deeper problem of walking around with those vibrations is not only our own experience of unhappiness, but those are the energies that we're contributing to our world. And when we start to awaken to the reality of spiritual connection, of spiritual interconnectedness, when we start to awaken to the consequence of the consciousness that we carry, we start taking more seriously the nature of our responsibility to ourselves and our responsibility to each other and our responsibility to our world. We keep wanting someone else out there to fix things. We still live in the illusion that whether it's a religious Messiah or a political Messiah or a teacher Messiah, someone will come. If we elect the right person, if we follow the right person. And certainly there are many who are willing to claim that role. But the simple truth is that it's really a matter of what we do within ourselves. It's daunting to really awaken to the responsibility, not to condemn ourselves for those moments when we find ourselves unable to climb out of our own discomfort, but to do whatever we can to awaken to what we are experiencing and awaken to what we are carrying and make choices. It's what spiritual practice is all about. Spiritual practice is not about becoming better at spiritual practice. Tova taught recently, practicing meditation is not about getting better, becoming a better meditator. Practicing meditation is about living better, living with fuller consciousness, living with greater awareness and greater love and greater joy. We come to the light of Shabbat because you know that Shabbat has dimensions of light. When we in ceremony welcome Shabbat, well, the first thing we do is kindle light. We say a blessing about kindling the Sabbath light. And in the ritual, there's often, this is usually traditionally performed by a woman, there's a covering of the eyes for the blessing. And it seems that the candles are already lit, but one covers the eyes to remember that the light that's being blessed. The light that's called the Light of Shabbat is actually not those candles. The candles, they're beautiful. The light on the candle is beautiful and illuminating, but they are pointers. They are symbols of the light of consciousness. And that light of consciousness is the initial light of Shabbat. It's just the very first creation in the Torah. In the beginning of Torah, the book of Bereshit, the book that's called Genesis, the very first chapter. And it says, everything was in turmoil. Everything was in darkness. And according to the myth, God said, Yehi Or, let light be. Vayehi Or, so light was. And the interesting thing about the light in that creation myth is that that light preceded the creation of the sun. It preceded the creation of the moon. It preceded the creation of the stars. So that light was not the light of the sun. That light was not the light of the moon. That light was not the light of the stars. That light was the light of consciousness. That light was the light of awareness. It's the dawning of awareness. Creation begins with consciousness. Creation begins with consciousness. And we go through the week, and at the end of a week, celebrate that light. We are returning again to that initial light, out of which, in which, from which, as which, everything unfolds. And in the consciousness of Shabbat, the illumination enlightens reality, enlightens us, enlightens our world. Awakening to the consciousness of Shabbat is not just a blessing for each and every one of us, but it is a gift. And that awakening is available always. It's the light of Shabbat. And it just reminds us of the more that we are, the one that we are. Steve has a song that he wrote called There's a Circle. Listen to how it affirms the light arising even in the darkness.
There are times we feel downhearted, when we'd swear we walk alone. Still we search for any sign that we might find our pathway home. Now there's something so lovely, like a star in a crystal night, when I'm reminded the deepest darkness can be lit with just one candle's light. And there's a circle we're a part of, Hand in hand, it glows with love. In this circle, there's strength in numbers as we rise to lift each other up. With the help of sisters and brothers and some friends I have yet to know, they give me strength to face the future. They lift me up so I'm never alone. And there's a circle we're a part of. Hand in hand, it grows with love. In this circle, there's strength in numbers as we rise to lift each other up. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat in my chest. And there's a circle we're a part of as we rise to lift each other up. Come the morning, bright and cleansing, it's gonna warm from the outside in, but nothing shines so brightly as the light that shines from within. There's a circle we're a part of. Hand in hand, it glows with love. In this circle, there's strength in numbers as we rise to lift each other up. As we rise to lift each other up.
We do. We do. We rise with love. We do. We rise with light. And yes, an external light is very helpful, illuminating the darkness outside. But the spiritual need is to practice our opening to that inner light, the light of our being, the light of our true identity, the light that's already the profound peace we seek, that's already the overflowing love we need, that's already the embracing compassion, that's already the wisdom and the energy that we as an individual location of that unlimited consciousness, that unlimited awareness, that we are here to flow into our world, to open to the vibration within ourselves so that we become authentic vehicles supporting a greater healing and the greater wholeness, the greater love and the greater compassion. That we become vehicles for a level of wisdom that is not available any other way. That we take responsibility for the piece of creation that has been entrusted to us. There's no one else right here. There's no one else right here. Each and every one of us has responsibility for what we are bringing and what we are carrying. And it's really, really critical when we discover that we've been adding to the pain and not helping to heal the pain, that we've been adding to the discord or adding to the anger or adding to the frustration or adding to the despair. And it's critical not to condemn ourselves, but to make other choices. If it was really easy, if it was natural to our ego mind, to our separate mind, well, we all would have done it already. We look into the history of spiritual awakening, and the truths actually have not changed. Whether the spiritual teachings of Torah or the Vedic tradition, the most ancient, continuing, unfolding spiritual teachings, they all reflect the essential nature of the one consciousness we share. We are the one manifesting as the many. And the challenge is, how do we remember? How do we awaken to that? For some of us, it becomes the central focus of our lives. Certainly at this point in my life, I choose to utilize whatever energies I have in the service of supporting those who are willing to make a commitment to their own spiritual process. It's wonderful to be able to share a moment like this, or a moment of a service, or a moment of meditation. And I'm privileged and honored to be able to share this with you. And I hope it has meaning. But the reality is that without committed focus, without practice, we really are not able to shift. We can taste something, but we can't really live it. So part of what I'm involved in now, and I'd mentioned this at the beginning, are creating programs that can support those of us who are willing to make a commitment. And there are different levels of commitment, and there are different levels of interest or time. In January, there are 2 programs. One is an immersive 7-week meetings on Sundays, Sunday afternoon. That is called Awakening in Place. That really was a kind of a flagship program that Tova and I designed at the beginning of the pandemic. We were sheltering in place, and it became clear that we needed to awaken in place. And as well, in January is starting a program called A Spiral of Spiritual Transformation, which includes like a monthly workshop and a weekly office hour meeting. At any rate, these are talked about in greater length. The links to them are on my website, rabbited.com. And, you know, I'm not a salesperson, but for those who are interested in, you know, what I'm doing and what I think is required, I want you to know about these. And at this point, I'd like to return to the energies of the Shema. The Shema is on the slide. I've asked Steve to sing it with the Shema Yisrael, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Echad. Normally we say Adonai because we don't pronounce the four-letter name. Adonai was a word with which it was replaced. The first syllable of the unnameable, that consciousness which is beyond name because there's no boundary. Their names circle something. There's no end of the circle. But we're given the first syllable, and the first syllable is Yah. And lately I've been drawn to reciting this as a meditation and reciting this as a song with Yah. Just opening to that which is beyond name, beyond image, that which is the essential oneness that we are. Listen, Israel, which is to say, listen, those who wrestle with a yearning for wholeness. Yah manifests as the many. Yah is one. There's only one. As Steve sings, I invite you to sing with him. He'll sing a few times through and then move with me into the inner silence, the inner wholeness, into the one we are.
Shema Yisrael, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Echad. 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 Shema Yisrael, Ya Eloheinu, Ya 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 Echad.
And if you feel comfortable, just allow your eyes to close and be aware of what it's like at this moment to be in your body. Recognizing I have a body. I am aware of my body. My awareness is not owned by my body. My awareness owns my body. I am aware of the thoughts in my mind. I'm aware of my mind. But the awareness is not part of my mind. My mind is part of my awareness. I have a mind. I have a body. I'm aware of feelings. But my awareness is not owned by my feelings. My feelings are owned by my awareness. I have feelings. And in a moment of just allowing this awareness to be more clear, I am the one who has this body. I am the one who has this mind. I'm the one who has this heart. I am the one who perceives through this body, who senses through this body, who feels with this body. I'm the one who thinks with this mind. And I am the one. I am the one. I am the one awakening in this location at this moment. And even though I am awakening in this location, I am one. And as I allow myself to simply let go of the idea that my mind has me, or my feelings have me, or my body has me, and remember the greater awareness I am, the greater consciousness I am. I can choose. as I remember the taste of peace, the light of love. The awareness of absolute well-being. And I allow this peace that I am. I allow this love. I allow this well-being to flow naturally and easily into my heart, into my mind, into my body. I allow the greater peace, love, well-being I am to embrace my body, to embrace my heart, to embrace my mind. I breathe this peace. I breathe this love. I breathe this well-being into every cell and every level of my being. And I practice walking, sharing this peace and this love and this well-being into my world. With such joy, with such delight, with such a welcoming presence. Allow yourselves to take a gentle breath and open your eyes and be aware. Allow that deep yesness to perfume every aspect of your being. And to just rejoice in this little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Right here in my heart, right here in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Right here in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Right here in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, Steve. We're ending. This is our final Spiritual Saturday of 2020. We're continuing in 2021, almost every month, again on the third Saturdays of the month. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the presence of those of you who join us now or access this later. I welcome your support of this program. You see the invitation to text to Spiritual Saturday at the bottom of your screens now. We're able to do this because of your support, and I'm deeply grateful. I hope that those of you who find this helpful will kind of let your friends know, just as I hope those of you who access the programs I'm doing and find them interesting will let others know who could be supported in their journey, because that's what it's about. How do we more effectively contribute to the healing that needs to be? Through a process of awakening to the one we already are. So thank you for your presence. Thank you for your presence. May the light of this season of darkness inspire a greater awareness of the light you are. And may that greater awareness of the light you are inspire a vibration, a contribution to the greater light of the whole. May we support each other more effectively in our shared journey of awakening. And may we always care for each other, support each other, as we move from strength to strength, from love to love, and from life to life. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai dai da dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai dai dai. Yai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai. Yai dai da dai dai da dai dai da dai dai. Yai dai dai dai